Now wait a second. This is the first episode. We gotta take things from the top. Alright, first of all, I'm Rookie Gamer. Hello everybody, I'm Noblest T, and today I am starting my second full watch and react, and it's going to be my second one for Precure. So welcome back anybody from my wonderful reactions, as well as anybody who is brand new. I'm a magical girl content creator, and I will be going through all of the episodes of You and Idol Precure. And I will have reviews for you just in time for afternoon tea on Sundays. Minus a little bit of the summer because I'll do a lot of work travel, so those will be kind of all over the place. But for the most part, you will be getting episode reactions from me, and I'm glad to have you here on this journey. Small background for me, I have seen every season of Precure. I have been watching almost all of them as they have aired. I will probably reference other Precure seasons in my review, and I will do my very best not to put too many spoilers, or at least say that they're spoilers if I am going to spoil any of the other seasons for people who would prefer to watch those completely blind. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the brand new show. And we immediately come across something strange. Now, all of this unfolding this quickly in the show, I thought I'd have more of an issue with, but when I thought about the other season, when I thought about how the first episode goes for Wonderful Precure with the magical everything happening at basically the end of the episode. In Hirogaru Sky, with it happening, like, the villains happen at the top of the episode and the magic stuff happens at the end. This one having the magic stuff happen at the beginning of the show, and then later the villain being at the end of the episode, I feel like it's just good juxtaposition to the way they've started the past few seasons. However, this feels like the most fast-paced first episode we've gotten. I do love, like, the energy they put into this river because they really, like, went all in on this background, and they show it multiple times. They want you to really know that they worked hard on this river shot. It's very pretty. Also, I like that they tell us how big this, like, peach is, the little blossom. The little peach, like, it's a reference to Momotaro, which is a legend, I believe, one of those kind of, like, myths, a Japanese myth of the little boy and the peach, not to be confused with James and the giant peach. And we get to meet Puridun. Now, one thing that is noted about Puridun is they don't have a gender yet. I don't believe anywhere it has been confirmed what their gender would be. There's lots of people who theorize it will go one way or another. They are voiced by a woman, but it's not the first, if it was a male character, it's not the first male character to be voiced by a woman. And we got Goku and Naruto voiced by women. I like to think that he might be a boy, specifically with the little bow tie thing here, but that's my personal theory. We have had other fairies not ever have a gender, and we've had fairies that for their entire season, aka Mahotsukai, Muffadoon had no gender until the movie, which I am once again trying not to spoil anything about other Precure entities, but there's a reason why they gave Muffadoon a gender in the Mahotsukai movie. But all that aside, let's react to the opening. I love the CG visuals. I feel like they've gotten so much better. I feel like every year we get a little bit better with that 2.5D energy that they have coming in. The characters look phenomenal. Like, these are 3D models right here. These are not the drawings. These are not 2D drawings. And they look very, very good for what they are. I'm hoping last year they did a post-mortem for their CG or the opening and ending. I hope they do that again. I have a background in 3D, so I do enjoy hearing how they do stuff, especially since they switched to Blender, which is the superior 3D application, whatever. We get to see our other girls who will be joining the team, who look cute, and I'm feeling like we're starting to get an idea of what their personalities are going to be. Kokoro seems to be very energetic, fun, kind of what our third members tend to be. Uta seems a little bit more competent than I thought she would be as a lead, but she's very adorable. And Nana I find interesting. If I had to guess which one of our characters is going to be the Pretty Holic girl, I feel like it would be her. Pretty Holic is the makeup line brand that they came up with back, I believe, during Tropical Rouge, and every season one character has kind of been the representative of Pretty Holic and trying to sell Pretty Holic products. I assume it's gonna be her. My bet is Nana. Also kept the melon soda in there because I feel like melon soda is going to be, interestingly enough, relevant to the show without saying much and just letting that sit in theory territory. We've got melon soda, just keep melon soda in mind. And I feel like this energy of the group seems to be strong, and it looks like the setting that they're going to be hanging out in for the majority of the show is going to be this cafe that Uta's family owns. We have this dude, don't know what his whole shtick is. Like, my best guess is that this guy's gonna be like a manager-esque person. but I will get into that a little bit later. We've got this dude who I can only assume is an idol that the girls are gonna like obsess over. He's gonna be like the ideal idol or something. I just want to put the shot in here because I really love their little ponchos. I know this is like all the things you can buy shot, but like look at the little tiny ponchos. They're so cute. Which I haven't talked a lot about Meridon, but I think she's a really cute design. I am hesitant about what her personality is going to be like, but I don't think we've really had mean characters in a hot minute, so I'm hoping she's not like Milk 2.0, but we'll see. I love the synergy of the team already. And then we have these, I love these shots. I love when we transition to them like fighting in the opening because we always get really, really pretty shots. So here's Idol, here is Wink, and Kyun Kyun. Also, for anybody who was concerned, aka people like me, this season is a fighting season. We do get the punches back, which is very exciting. And again, like, these are just such beautiful shots in the opening, and we gotta give a little appreciation to all the hard work on the team. And is that Hatsune Miku? Do I see a Miku Miku beam? We got, like, a bun beam going on for Kyun Kyun. I also like that this shot where the heart tree seems to be a pretty relevant location in this show. But also, when they go through each of their hands, they have their little symbols, with Idol being a heart, Wink being a diamond, and Kyun Kyun being a tear. And then again, more beautiful shots of our group. They're very sweet. I'm super excited. And who's ready to just, like, roll right into the show? I mean, come on. We already are looking cute. I'm already happy with a lot of the designs. I'm happy with the team. I like the art style. I like the art direction. And then also I stole a little bit of this title card from mine that I procrastinated on the very last second to make the title card, so I hope you all like the title card. I literally stayed up till like midnight last night trying to make it. But I wanted to match to some degree on how they handled the title card for the episode, so here we go. Anyways, as I mentioned before, Uta's family owns a little, like, cafe, which she races back to announce that she found a Pudadun, who has fallen asleep. When I first watched this, I thought Pudadun was just like, oh, I know how to do the mascot thing, where I just pretend I'm a stuffed animal. I didn't realize that Pudadun just straight up fell asleep. Nonetheless, after failing to explain to her family that Pudadun exists, we see more about their cafe life, and this spread looks absolutely delectable. Like, the eggs, the bacon, the toast, and of course, the melon soda. Never forget the melon soda. We meet one of our first characters, aka victims, in this show, which is Emma, who is a mangaka. Who, like, is it just me, or is this some Yuri? Do I detect a Yuri author in the room? Uta seems a big fan, like, I mean, love me some good Yuri, like, let's go, ladies. Which Pudadun turns on the Pudadun vision to see our energy source for the season. I find it funny because other seasons have had some kind of Kira essence that has been the core essence of the show, so I think it's like Kira Kirarara. Kira Kirarara. Like, they just keep adding extra syllables and they're like, this is unique to this show. I find it very funny. But yes, her singing inspires this magical energy around the characters, as we do in some of these shows. And I found it really cute that her mom's like, you're like our little cafe mascot idol. And she's like, oh mom, please, don't say that about me and my, like, skills. I mean, go on. Which I find really cute because I do have, like, a little bit of a curiosity. I'm not super deep into it, but I do love the idea of things like maid cafes and stuff. I like the concept of, like, wearing a really cutesy outfit and then, like, saying little spells before you, like, you know, bless people's food. Like, I think the concept of it is super adorable. I feel like a lot of people ruin it, but whatever. I think conceptually it's super cute. And I like that this kind of, like, references that to a degree in a very wholesome way. I super appreciate it. In the meantime, Pudadun is like, oh, I was just napping, but I'm real. To which Uta is like, what are you? Their whole exchange is incredibly comical, and that's something I do like about this season. I like the comedy. I did not expect this to be such a comedic season, but it is. Also, little other, again, on the artist front, I'm super nerdy about the graphics in this show. I like the backgrounds and the motion media that they do. I'm gonna try to put on some examples of what in the world I'm talking about, but I like this background right here. It's so pretty. I love it when we do, like, the bubbly, sparkly, watercolory backgrounds. They spark joy. And then Pudadun uses the cute attack, and it is super effective, Uta immediately caves when Puridun has explained that their purpose is to find the idol Precure. As we do with several seasons, we have our mascot characters hunting for the legendary warriors, the Precure, who are meant to save their destroyed kingdom. I also, again, on the note of transitions, I love that there's like so many unique little transitions that they do in the show, and so much of this episode is just like them stacking Puridun's face all over the place and then just having it scoot across the screen as we transition to the next scene. I think it's adorable. Then we have our, like, most of the episode's montage section, kind of the sort of 8 to 16 minute marks are dedicated to these two just running around the town trying to figure out what in the world a Precure is, which is hilarious that she Googles it. We also sneak in a little bit of our merch that they're trying to show with the camera. I was surprised that Uta ended up being the one, because I usually expect it from the fairies, but Uta's like, yo, do me a solid and don't talk to people. You are a stuffed animal. I didn't expect her to be the more responsible one amongst the two of them, but I think because they've made Puridun so silly, it makes sense that somebody has to be the bigger person. And then I realized that Puridun is just me. They're out here like, what if we just buy all the merch? Oh god, this is hitting a little too close to home. Like, this is also me. This is me pulling out my wallet once again to buy some cute magical girl merch. I have the transformation device for the series already pre-ordered, and I'm just awaiting its arrival. And then Puridun, like, puts away this hot dog so quickly. Like, again, this is me. I'm just like, somebody has food for me, it's gone immediately. I eat so quickly. Like, actual picture of me at lunchtime. In the meantime, they've been going around asking, are you a Precure? Which is the silliest, billiest way I've seen them try to approach this yet. And this random guy's like, yeah, that's me. I am Precure. To which they stuff him inside this peach, which we now know has, like, magical shrinking properties, and they go floating down the river. And Uta's like, that doesn't make any sense. And then that's the end of the show. Thanks for coming, everybody. We sped ran an entire Precure season within the first 12 minutes. Like, my video is longer than this episode. Just kidding. So this guy comes back and he's like, oh, my name is actually, like, similar to Precure. And Uta's like, no, it's not. What was this mix-up? This was silly Billy. And then we get to see our villains. She is hot. She is a pretty woman. If evil, why pretty? And we also get a hint at our final boss, Darkine, who also looks cute. Like, interested. Silly Billy hat she's wearing there, but whatever. They're like the Cut Gang. I love that they're like this scissor-themed dark thing. I'm playing a lot of Infinity Nikki, and one of like the first gangs you come across is the Ebony Scissors, so I'm like, oh my god. I feel like there's a pattern here with our villain theme. But yeah, their whole bit is that they like cut things, which I think is silly, and I like it. But we learn more about our mythical land, Hiraki Land, which obviously looks cute. I describe this as being like the marshmallow from Lucky Charms color palette. I'm a big fan. That's not offensive. I actually really like it. I don't like it no more. Now it's ugly. They had to go and ruin it. They, as you can see, bows are chopped and there's crystals. It's all evil now. R.I.P. We reveal that the tree, the heart-shaped tree, is up at the top of town. Oh, that's the other thing that's really funny about this, is that, technically speaking, Precure takes place at the same time as, like, when it airs-ish. Like, this is, technically speaking, in February, but they're like, it's spring! Girl, I wish it was spring! It's cold here! It's not. Like, the temperature for where this show is taking place to the temperature where I'm at is, like, the same. We are on the same... We're at, like, the same latitude, dude. It's cold. It's not spring yet in Japan. You're being silly. Anyways. Gonna be spring for a while. One thing that is actually kind of an ick for me from other shows is when characters just randomly start singing. I think it was called White Noise. Maybe I'm getting that confused with the horror game of the same name. But there was an anime that I watched with friends back in college where characters were going through, like, serious stuff, but the main girl would just always randomly, like, sing. And I believe her voice actress was actually very accomplished and a decent singer, but I don't know what happened. But every time she randomly burst out into song, it was the cringiest thing I'd ever seen. Like, I don't use the word cringy often, but it was unbearable to watch that show because she just sing and it's just weird and her voice sounds awful and it's just awkward. And the directing is terrible for it. Like, that show did her a disservice. Read the manga instead, where you don't have to hear it. They do a better job here. They do a lot better job. It does not bother me when Uta breaks out into song. And I think there's several reasons. One, Precure is a franchise that has enough money to afford background music. I do not like anime that don't have background music. I'm like, you gotta find budget and hire people to play some music. So when it transitions into her singing and then out of her singing, they always have like little piano, a little bit of violin. Like it's just a really smooth transition, and it feels like her singing is meant to be there. It doesn't feel awkward. And then also her voice sounds good. Like they got a voice actress who could sing, and then they proceeded to direct her correctly. And it's cute and it's not cringy. And I was worried about it being cringy, and it's not. I do, like, for me, not cringy. In the meantime, Emma, our victim once again, is the first person to be attacked to become our monsters. And we get our first Makuranda, which, what is this, like the 80s style gangster aesthetic is brought back to Precure. It's fun to see traditional monsters again. Part of my group watch did point out, and I like this about what, once again, which was going to be potentially cringy in this, as well as my fear that we were not going to have physical fights, is that Uta comes in here and starts singing at the monster specifically because Emma is within the monster, and Purirun hadn't told Uta that her singing brought out that kind of like kira kira magical essence. And so in an effort to try to save Emma, she's like, well, if I sing again, I might be able to reach her within the monster. So like there's a decent reason why she's just randomly singing at the monster, because otherwise that'd just be so weird. But also they said this is not Mermaid Melody, girl. This is not going to be, it's not going to work out. You're going to have to do a little bit of fighting. So fortunately, after a couple of like, also mind you, like she's singing at the monster, but whenever the monster attacks, she's like, I'm gonna stop singing and I'm gonna try to dodge. Also appreciate that. Appreciate some brain cells going on here. But nonetheless, she, through the power of Precure courage and bravery, manages to tap into her inner power as she stands up against the Makuranda. And we receive our transformation device. Shout out to the idol heart brooch. And we get our first transformation. For the sake of this episode, I am going to react to the transformation next episode, and then in a subsequent episode, I will react to the ending. Otherwise, this is just going to be so long. But we get our cute outfit, and it's time to fight. Now, I think this season thus far, this episode thus far, has done a good job with music and with visuals, like consistent color palettes, background music, foreground music. It's been solid. I do think this is the first part where I've kind of been like, oh, this is not as good as it could have been. This fight is better than the average Precure fight. However, there's something about the directing in that that's just kind of boring. We do get a jump, but it's not like the typical jump. She just jumps like slightly higher than she could as a human, but we don't get like the sky high jump. And we get our little bit of punching, but some of the motion here is a little like, it just feels a little stale. Like the frames are there, but it doesn't feel like the angles are unique. It doesn't feel like, there's just something that feels like it's kind of missing. But overall, her attitude for the fight is very cute. I do like her just like smacking the Makuranda, being like, give her back! And then being like, yeah, let's beat it up. Like, I like that. It feels very novice. I love Precure's balance when characters get their powers for the first time, where it showcases that they're strong because of the magic, but they're not used to fighting. It shows them kind of being baby fighters. And I like that. It just really sets up the show for her to get progressively better at fighting by the end of it. And then they do this whole attack, which is like Idol's first touch. I wonder if this is a reference to like, there's this idol culture thing that happens specifically in like, I believe like Japan and Korea are the big ones that I think of that have this, where you can get your first like handshake with an idol. Like you pay for like a ticket or something where you can go up and then like the idol will shake your hand, which I think is like this concept of like the first touch sort of bit. And so I want to believe that this is a reference to that, where instead of like, you know, a handshake, she's straight up punching the crap out of the Makuranda, which I'm like, listen, with some fans, you guys ought to have your first touch be a punch. And then she does her little dance number and then winds up for an attack. My one little beef with the dance number, which is something that I think a lot of shows have a habit of doing, and this is going to be a 3D thing, is that they always bring the frame rate down for the 3D section that's going to overlay with a 2D section, due to the fact that 2D stuff is animated at a lower frame rate because it obviously requires a lot of effort to draw each and every one of those frames. So typically animation will be somewhere, it's either like 12.5 or 23 frames per second is going to be what it averages. But then they feel the need to take their 3D scenes and have it be at the same frame rate, and it's a bad idea. It looks really choppy, like the entire dance sequence looks like I'm watching a stream that's lagging. 3D lower frame rates just don't feel the the same as 2D. Even if you try to make the 3D scene look like a 2D scene, it just feels wrong. And I really wish they didn't do that. A prime example of a series that does this, and it's very jarring to watch, is the very first season of Dragon Prince. They fixed this for the rest of them, but for the very first season of Dragon Prince, I think they did 12 frames per second. And it just looks so choppy and stunted. And you're like, we didn't need to do that. And thankfully they changed it. But I wish they didn't do it for the dance sequence, because it's just, the frame rate is so low. And I'm sure other people will not notice. I'm sure kids will not notice. But for somebody who has a background in 3D, it is so frustrating to watch. It just feels incorrect. Just have that be at a different frame rate. Have it be at the higher frame rate. We don't care. And then she has her little heart pose to finish off the attack, which is very adorable. We love it. Very doki doki. And we get our first collectible for this season, this like butterfly bow entity. We'll see how that ends up getting utilized throughout the show. Buridun trying to make use of the light stick that they bought from earlier, because again we gotta shill the merch. And then I love how, as often happens in Precure, they're like automatically doing the instinctual Precure things, only to be like, why did I do that? What is happening? And then we have the one, like, they usually do some kind of aerial shot within the first episode, and then here it's just Puridun being like, episode 1 of Idol Precure, done. And while I won't react to the ending dance, I will say that that goes back to being like, I can't tell, I'd have to look at it specifically. That one looks like it's actually like a solid 30 frames per second, running at a normal speed with normal amount of frames. Like, ooh, it bugs me so much. But aside from that, beside that little nitpick, I've really enjoyed episode 1 for this. I do have one thing that was brought up again with my, the group watch that I had done this with. Where do you guys think the theme is going to stick for this series? Because there are seasons where they have themes that are there just aesthetically and do nothing else, a la your like Doki Doki Tropical Rouge kind of seasons. But then you have other seasons where the theme is very relevant and it matters to the characters and they bring it up every episode, a la your Go Princess and your Wonderful Precure. Where do you think the idol theme is going to stand on this series? Is it just going to be like the aesthetic part of their Precure-ness, or is it going to be a relevant thing of them actually becoming idols in the show of some kind? I'm curious to see what you guys think. Also, just tell me how you felt about this episode. We are fresh with a new one, and I want to hear thoughts, both like the good and the bad. I want to see where we're vibing for this particular season. But that is all for episode 1. So until next time, bye bye!